Before you were famous, you said you were a Christian man, loved his wife, did not want to be divorced, loved his children, had values, and I would assume you wanted to always model the correct values to your kids. And among those values, and please stop me if I'm out of line with any of your values, and among those values are being a loving spouse, being a devoted father, always being honoring one's commitments. Is that all accurate?
Yeah, being honest and trustworthy and everything else.
Okay. Fame comes along, and the marriage deteriorates. You're feeling a little bit depressed, misunderstood. It sounds to me like you were also lonely. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I know anything.
So you were lonely as well. And now you decide, I'm going to go out. And it suddenly feels good. And you discover, perhaps, that you're actually desirable to women. And that fame might even give us sometimes a little bit of a magnet. So, sorry?
Maybe a big one.
A big one, okay.
Because I look at myself in the mirror.
I'm using the classic English. I lived in England for 11 years. I'm using the classic British understatement. So that fame can make us attractive to people. That the world is drawn to money and fame. Do you think that fame can sometimes be a little bit intoxicating in making us forget what our values are and what we believe and who we want to be? Can it sometimes create a construct, a new vision of who we are, which is at odds with who we want it to be? Can it cause us to forget?
Absolutely. I think it comes between all of it. It definitely comes between all of it because half the stuff I've done, if I look at my moral compass, I shouldn't have done. I mean, I know that, but I did it anyway. And that's it's like fame canceled that conviction.
That your celebrity and your values were coming into conflict.
Right.
And you had to make a choice between them.
Right.
And what did you choose?
I chose fame.
Because it made you feel better about yourself?
Yeah, it filled that void of it was like an absent void of not being wanted at home, not being this, not being that. I love my kids to death. I would lay on the railroad track for them. But like I said, going back to work, people praise you at work for helping them. Your kids, when they're little, they don't praise you. They just want more and more and more. So that was like missing. Even though you're doing a good job, it's just no one's telling you you're doing a good job. And I think as a man, you need to hear that. Like men need respect and from their wife, they need to hear like you're doing a good job. You're doing this. You're doing a great job. You're a great father. Blah blah blah. But when you're not getting that, you're gonna go and try and get it somewhere else.
And in terms of wanting to feel better about yourself, when women especially would make you feel that way, when they would make you feel desirable and attractive and special and unique, is that very seductive?
It's filling the void of the respect I wanted from my wife. Whether or not it's the same, it was just like a feeling of, oh yeah, like it's weird because I live in my hometown and like people knew me before, but then they started treating me different even though they knew you before. And it's so weird. It's like, are you really my friend? Because I've known you for 20 years and now you're talking to me totally different because I'm on television. Kind of weird. But that void, was definitely filled by going to clubs, bars, because Kate wouldn't talk to me. She didn't want anything to do with it. And I was just getting it from someone else.
Okay. Well, let's just zero in on this for a moment. So my wife was in the audience. And there were times, my wife is a very loving woman and very devoted to me. There are times when she can be a little bit standoffish, a little bit cold. And very often it has to do with my behavior. Very often I might think that she's at fault. Why? I need this validation. I'm working very hard. I need my ego massage. I need that pat on the back. And I'm wondering, why won't you give it to me? And it turns out that she feels the exact opposite is happening. I become very absorbed in my own life, sometimes in my own unhappiness, because sometimes I'll feel beaten down by the world. So she's responding to my coldness. Is there a possibility that some of that happened with you and Kate as well? Do you think that she's entirely that she wasn't giving you what you needed, but you were giving her what she needed?
I think, I don't want to blame her. I mean, I think I was giving love. Maybe, I read about the 5 love languages. And maybe I wasn't giving the right time for love because it wasn't being reciprocated back to me. And I wasn't feeling love. When you're not feeling love, you start moving into panic. Because you're like, what's going on? And then your brain plays tricks on you. And you start thinking about other things. And I didn't feel respected because I wasn't the spiritual leader that she wanted me to be. So I kept on, I felt like, she always said I was the ninth child. And I felt like the ninth child because I couldn't get to the point that she could love and respect me.
Okay, so we're back to this feeling that you were broken. And when you started going out to clubs, you felt a bit more whole, which is paradoxical because actually you were becoming more broken, correct?
Yeah.
It wasn't really solving anything, it wasn't healing anything. It was actually probably making you feel good about yourself in your more sober moments? I mean, sober, I say figuratively, when you were really reflecting on your life, were you feeling good about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I was hanging out with friends, and I never had friends like not friends, but people my own age or whatever. But because for 10 years I didn't go out, so I felt like maybe I was missing something or something like that. But I felt like, oh yeah, these people are listening to what I say, and they're surrounding me, and da 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 da. But I don't know, I just wasn't getting the attention I wanted.
Okay, well, let me put something very direct. Look, John, we've known each other for about a month. We met through Mike Keller, your manager, who's a dear friend of mine. Mike's a buddy, and I know that the people that Mike works with, he cares about them in their totality, not just their careers. And I really respect that about you. You've taken me to some of your other people you work with. And I believe that you're sincere in wanting to redress some of the mistakes. And that fame can be very intoxicating. So, I'm a great believer in trying to do the right thing. And we sometimes fail, and I have had many missteps in my life, and I regret those missteps. And you and Kate did not find the happiness that you wanted to find, and you didn't want to be divorced, but here you are in this situation. Do you think, this is a question for you to answer, not for me to say, that amidst unhappiness in a relationship, amidst unhappiness in a marriage, that it is still acceptable, given that a couple's not happy, that one way for them to address that unhappiness is to stay married but do things that maybe betray the marriage, or to say, look, I'm going to do the right thing even though we're not happy. And part of the right thing is if this marriage can't survive, then let's bring it to a close in the most amicable way possible for the sake of our children. And you and I will have to find our own separate ways. And I'm hurting, and I need female companionship, and I need female comfort. We all do. I'm a man. We all want to be validated by people who make us feel special. That's what we're looking for in life. We all want to love and be loved. But perhaps there's the right time and place. How do you feel about that?
I think there is the right time and place, I want to apologize to Kate in private, rather than in a public setting. I've done it already numerous times in a public setting, but I haven't had the opportunity to do so in private. So when that time comes, I will apologize to her. And I'll apologize to her for openly having relationships in the public eye, and that was a huge mistake. Because if she would have done that to me, I would have been extremely pissed off. Pardon me. And not because our relationship was over, it's almost like a stab in the back. And now that I think about it, it's just it was a very wrong thing to do.